Legitimate peripheral participation. This is my video on what this process entails. First, the concept of legitimate peripheral participation. The concept is you have an apprentice who is considered the newcomer, and over time, they become the participant, more engaged in the activities, and at the end, they are considered the master. I like to use visuals, and these are my visuals. So you have Luke Skywalker. He's the apprentice. He's learning. He's very new to this environment. Where you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is the practitioner. He has more experience, and he is basically teaching Luke Skywalker the ways of the culture and the environment. And then you have my favorite, which is Yoda. He is the Jedi Master. He was a teacher before, and now he has mastered the skills, and he is the head leader of this organization or this group or this culture. So the framework that is involved with the legitimate peripheral participation is I laid it out based on the areas that you are. So an apprentice it's like a newcomer to an environment. The newcomer observes the practitioners in order to learn how they're supposed to interact within the environment. And over time, the apprentice will learn the ways of the environment or the culture and feel more able to participate in activities. The practitioner is considered to have been adapted. It's an adapted newcomer, and they have gained sufficient knowledge in order to function more independently in the environment. And the practitioner is a great person to help the apprentice as they have just graduated in a sense. And so they have a better understanding of what the apprentice might be experiencing at that point. The master is the leading force within the culture or setting. They have mastered the necessary skills needed to be successful. And so they're like the leaders in the group. And at times, the master might be intimidating for the newcomer because you see this big gap between the two of the difference in abilities and their enhanced abilities. But it's nice because an apprentice can easily become a master over time based on the amount of work that they put in and the amount of participation they put in. Some of the strengths of this process is it's a social process, and we're talking about social interactions and how in social interactions, there is a lot more learning taking place. There's a lot more engagement with the environment. You're supposed to be participating, working with each other, listening and taking in information. And it kind of eases the newcomer into the environment. So it's not so much as a culture shock because they're kind of following their practitioner, their Obi-Wan Kenobi, to help them acclimate themselves to the environment. Some of the weaknesses that I felt was there really isn't any differentiation. The newcomer is kind of following along the practitioner. And so if the practitioner, that student who they might be working with, doesn't give them tips or tricks on how to work with some information, then there's not a lot of differentiation. It also relies on mirror neurons primarily because you're mimicking or you're performing functions that your practitioner or your master is performing. And so we've learned that some individuals, ADHD, autistic, and so on, have concerns with mirror neurons. They're not firing or initiating as well as other students. And so that might be a concern as well. Also, if there's no participation, then there's not a lot of learning. If you're not actively engaged in doing the activities and working with the material, then there's not going to be a lot of learning. You can't just sit back and watch. You need to sit back, watch, and then go ahead and do and perform the function. Lastly, the educational implications. Some of the things that I believe this implies is that you need to have more group activities because the newcomer can then work in a social environment with the practitioner and master. Also, if you have peer-to-peer feedback, it might be less intimidating when you get feedback from a peer versus a teacher or a whole group. And they might be more inclined to make changes or make adjustments to their writing or how they solved a problem. Self-monitoring is important to see if they are have been adapted to the environment and if they've moved from a from a apprentice to a more of a practitioner's role. Finally, goal setting is you need to set a goal. Like, in order to become a master, these are the things that I want to accomplish. In order to become a practitioner, these are some of the things that I would like to accomplish. And over time, through self-monitoring, you can see if you met some of your goals. Well, I hope you enjoyed my unique presentation regarding legitimate peripheral participation. And just remember that the force is strong with apprentices. And so if given opportunities, they too can become masters in their craft. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.